Well, hello, Young and the Restless Daily Recap fans. Today's daily recap is for Tuesday, well, actually Wednesday, October the 25th, 2023, through Friday, October the 27th, 2023. So Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I'm telling you, they could all be wrapped up in one daily recap here. We have first and foremost, oh, Ashley's back. And I don't know how I feel about the way she was acting. Her demeanor was strange to me. You know, don't look like you got this sense of worry on your face, Ashley. And ooh, so what's Tucker up to? You could tell me the truth. No, 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 no. You've been in charge of this situation the whole time. You know what Tucker's up to because she's talking to Diane. And she goes, I did hear some from Jack, but what's the latest? No, Ashley, you're not Miss Victim, nor will I allow you to be Miss Victim because we still honestly don't know what happened, right? One thing's for sure, when Ashley left, before Diane saved her, she was heck bent on, oh no, still saving my brother from himself. And remember, Tucker was so upset with her. He said, Ashley, this revenge thing has got to go. We've been over this. You committed yourself this way. Now, one conversation, you're ready to go back that way. Tucker was too through with that. So it's better for everybody to palette the story that she wanted to be, get close with her family and he didn't want her to. When in reality, we don't know what Ashley wanted. And now that she's just back, and she's decided, since nobody knows, because Jack and Billy came, and since nobody really knows what Tucker's up to, she's going to have to get the information from Tucker. And Jack is like, oh, no, no. You said he scared you overseas. And now you saying you want to put yourself in the lion's den? Oh, no, Ashley, that's putting yourself in harm. No. So she goes, well, good thing I don't need your permission to do it. I said, now see, there we go. This is Ashley. There is no Tucker. No, you can't wait to be able to be seen with Tucker and your family not think you doing a 180. See, they think you going in trying to find out information, which they may write it that way stupidly, but by no means is Ashley innocent, timid, shocked, nothing, none of that. Her whole attitude to me was off, way off. And Billy kept just like looking at her like, something seems a little funny here, right? So we have Kyle and Audra finishing up hitting the sheets again. That's how she feels she can only intrigue him. And Kyle is straight to business after, look, I need to know. Let's talk about it. Let's find out what's the plan. And she goes, Tucker hasn't divulged the next step in the plan to me. He's in charge. And so Kyle is like, well, you're talking about you're going to be CEO and I'm co CEO. He's like, how do you all plan on going about it? That's what I want to know. Because look, Jabot is a conglomerate, and it's not going to be that easy for you to do this, right? And so she goes, Tucker has a plan, and I will find out when he wants me to find out. And then I'll let you know. And then he goes, this relationship with Tucker is kind of, oh no, I can understand you guys were acquaintances, you knew each other, but is it physical too? And his face was kind of like, ooh, with that old geezer? And so she goes, Tucker and I are a lot of things to each other. And she's kind of looking away coyly. And I'm like, what? If you don't see snake written all over this woman, Kyle, you're an idiot, right? And he says, okay, I can understand. You know what? I just, with your personality, I just don't understand how he was able to manipulate you like that, into that kind of a relationship. And so she looked at Kyle and she said, what makes you think he seduced me? I seduced him. And Kyle looked like, wait, what? Like, oh my goodness. She goes, Tucker is a means to an end. And so she said, and he's been very useful to me throughout the years. Is that a problem for you? And Kyle didn't quite know what to say. It wasn't, no, I'm cool with any time he wants to hit the sheets with you. Y'all go ahead. He didn't say all that, but he was just like, wow. And so he goes, but Tucker is a wild card, like you said. Ashley said, he got violent. And I'm thinking, see, it's turned into now he was violent to Ashley. Who said all that? Right. And so she goes, that's never happened to me. And I don't know about Ashley, but I, on the other hand, I can handle Tucker. I'm not worried about Tucker. And I'm like, yeah, right, Audra. When Tucker puts you on speed dial and you at his beck and call and he could ream you out and he could this, that, and the other. No, you ain't in charge of all that. You just telling Kyle that. So she says, all would be revealed, but I do believe Tucker is going to test you first. And Kyle's like, what do you mean test me? And he goes, test you. So she leaves it at that. Now we have Nick confronting Victor about this paper and blah, blah, blah. And I know what it means and I know what you've done. And Nikki's like, wait, what does he mean and what has it done? So he shows it to Victor, the little serpent trying to bite at Newman Enterprises. And Victor's like, I'll be, interesting. And Nikki's like, what is it? So Victor just hands it to her. And Nick says, something only I would know. This is something that Dad planted for me. Because, see, it means nothing to nobody else but me. And Nikki said, because I don't. He goes, Mom, it's from a childhood book, Serpent and Names. She goes, I do vaguely remember that. Dad used to read it to me every night when I was a boy. And I'm thinking, young boy, because remember, everybody, who raised Nicholas more of his boyhood years before he was sent to boarding school? Jack and Nikki were married. Jack was Nick's stepson. Okay? Jack. Remember Nicholas almost drowned in the pool and then Brad Carlton saved him? Jack, it's been Jack. So Victor had to have read that to him when he was 3, 4, that little. Because pretty much, I think around 5, 6, that's when Nikki was married to Jack. So anyway, he goes, so something's going on. Something is not right. And you're trying to do something. Just come out and say what it is. So Nikki looks at him, for God's sakes, Victor, tell him the truth. And Nick looks at her and says, Mom? And Victor looks at her and says, pretty much in his mind, not only 5 minutes ago were you telling me that you would never betray my trust. So Nicholas figures it out. He goes, wait a minute. Tell me the truth. He goes, "You're faking this." And Nikki's like, mm-hmm. Looked at Victor like, "See, figured it out. I didn't have to say that." "Are you faking this?" And Victor's sitting there, and then Nikki goes, "Answer him, Victor." Like, "Or I will." And so let me see, did he even, or did Nikki say? I think he may have said, "Look, this is necessary. Blah, blah, blah. It's all a part of my plan. Somebody's going to betray me, whether it's Victoria, Nate, or Adam." He goes, "Victoria would never take advantage of you in this state. Yes, she's mad. Yes. Yes, Victoria would make a power move, but not if you're having a health issue. She would never cross that line. She is too concerned and worried about you, like we all have been. I have had sleepless nights, and you let me go through that." So Nikki's like, mm-hmm, "See, I told you they're gonna be pissed, right?" And he goes, "And you're letting Vic go through the same thing?" He goes, "She, Nate, or Adam are going to betray me." And Nick goes, "Maybe Nate or Adam, but not Victoria." Come on now. Victoria absolutely would say we all have to make a move for the good of the company, before the shareholders find out, and the press and the public. She absolutely would. She'd make the biggest power play under the guise of protecting her father than you would not believe. So Nick is like, "I can't believe you." So then we go to Christine. Christine, no, yeah, Christine is back. She walks in, "Danny," and he looks up, "Christine." He jumps up and he hugs her. And I'm telling you, everybody, she was hugging on that man for dear life. Like was falling and he was holding her up. That's how tight she was holding on to him. And he's like, "You're back." She goes, "I didn't know you'd still be in town." And so he's like, she goes, "I just, got off the plane a couple of hours ago and I needed some coffee, jet lag. So I came here." And he goes, "Well, let me get it for you." She goes, I'll get it in a minute." So they sit and they talk, and he goes, "How was Portugal? How's Paul?" "I don't want to talk about it." You know, almost as if tears are rolling down their face, but they aren't. No, it's too painful. "I'd rather hear about you. What's going on? You and Phyllis, I see, have gotten closer together." He goes, "How?" "I saw her leaving." And he goes, "Well, we share share a son together. But yeah, I mean, Phyllis and I are amicable." He goes, "I do believe she's trying to redeem herself. I honestly believe it." And then, of course, Christine has to go bash Phyllis. She loves to bash Phyllis. And then telling Danny, "I don't see how you could even consider giving her blah, blah, blah." He goes, "You know what? I have not forgotten what Phyllis did. I haven't forgotten it. But I do believe people deserve second chances that are trying. And I believe Phyllis is trying." So he goes, "Now look, I could tell Christine, you want to talk about what happened." He goes, "Friend to friend, person that gives all his exes, that hears out all his exes." That's what he said. Like, yeah, hear out Phyllis, I hear out you. So of course she does. And then we waste so much time about, they went to a vacation spot that was so special to them, and blah, blah, blah. And Paul just doesn't love me anymore. He moved away. He just started distancing himself when he got retired, and he fell out of love with me. Danny, you know, and Danny is falling right into that trap and grabs her hand, is consoling her. I'll be there for you. I'm there for you, and blah, blah, blah. I'm so sorry. You know, perhaps it's not truly over. It's really over. So now we got time for a me, you, Phyllis triangle. When, in fact, 4 to 6 months from now, Paul's going to move back to Genoa City because Heather and Lucy are here because he moved to Portugal to be with his family. So he's going to move back to be with his family. And she and Paul are going to get back together again. They're going to. They never showed Paul anyway, not in years. So they're going to get back together again. Danny's going to go on tour because remember, he's only on a like 3 month break. He's going to think he and Christine are an item. He's going to come back to, nope. Sorry, Charlie. Me and Paul reconciled again. So we already know that, everybody. We already know it. You know, it's like I ain't even got time to deal, and nor do I want to deal with Christine and Paul because now Phyllis is going to be here, underhanded stalker Phyllis self. I don't want to see a repeat of the same old things 30 years later. So let's move forward to Thursday and Friday. Thursday and Friday all could have been one day. It was all continuation comments of the same thing. Nick leaves. He goes to society. He finds Victoria, and actually it should be, I think, this one here. Oh, I loaded the same one twice, y'all. Sorry about that. Let me see if I can get the right picture up. It's one with Nick, and he sees Victoria. I don't know if I can actually find that one. Let's see if this one is it. Nope, that's an old one. So you know what? It's so hard to find them once I don't upload them in advance. So I'll just talk about it. Why don't I do that? I will just talk about it. Okay, so Nick goes and he's talking to Victoria. And Victoria is furious that Victor played him for a fool. Played that fiddle and they fell right in it. Okay, there it is right there. He played the fiddle for them and they fell right in it. Let me see if I can, because it's going to bug me now that I'm not showing the right picture. That's going to get on my last nerve. Okay, I see I didn't save it right. I saved over it wrong. So she's like, of course, Victor Newman would do that. And she's upset that why would he feel, and Nicholas says he feels somebody's going to betray him. Why would he feel I'm going to betray him? I would never. And he goes, and I told him that too, Vic. I told him that. I would never exploit an illness of his. Yes, he would. I mean, yes, she would. Just like he exploited Ashlyn Locke when he was having the heart attack. Victoria would do that. And so he says, but it's a trap. And he goes, okay, wait a minute. How do you know about it? Well, because he left a clue that only I would figure out. And so she looked at him. And he admitted it finally. Mom said enough was enough. Mom knew. Yeah, Mom knew. He put her in swore her to secrecy. And she goes, oh, of course. He trusts you, but he doesn't trust me. He's putting me in the same boat as Adam. And so Nick says, look, Dad trusts me only because really, Vic, I have no ties to Newman. I really don't. So I'm not a threat to him. So she goes, okay, I need to know what he doesn't suspect Nate, does he? I want to know what is Dad thinking, Nick? What's he thinking? And Nick didn't want to say because, he doesn't want to give up the trap on Nate because Nick believes Nate can't be trusted too. So he goes, well, Vic, you know how I feel about it. No, I don't want to hear your distrust for Nate because it's unwarranted. I want to know what Dad is thinking. He goes, well, this is what he said. Either you, Nate, or Adam are going to betray him. And he's setting some kind of trap. So, oh, she's just off one deep end down to another. And finally, he talks to her. He goes, Vic, I think the best thing is for us to do nothing. Let's let Dad continue on with his plan, because ultimately we all know Adam doesn't mean what he's saying. It's a lie. It's a ruse. His trap will catch Adam. And if we play our cards right, we'll be leading Adam right into a trap. And so Victoria says, okay, but you know what then? We need to we don't, Dad should know that you told me. Dad should know that I know. So this way he can continue to do his plan the way he wants to. And I thought, see, look, there we go, look, underhandedness. She goes, but as far as Nate absolutely would not betray Dad. And Nick just looks, no, and Nikki comes in and she sees them talking, and she goes over and she sits down and she told Nick, I thought you would find your sister, and I thought you might come here. I'm trying here first. And so he goes, yeah, he goes, yeah. She goes, yeah, he found me. And she goes, did you tell her everything? And Victoria says, yes, he told me everything. What I want to know is, why didn't you tell me everything? And so she goes, because darling, I wanted to, but your father swore me to secrecy. And so Nick said, Vic, she goes, yeah, but you know how worried I was she was going to lay it on Nikki. And Nick says, Vic, come on now, lay off her. She was put in an impossible situation, and you know it. So Victoria kind of turns her head and says, yeah, I know you were. You were put in an impossible situation, but blah, blah, blah. And so she's like, well, why would he have us all go through this when we know it's Adam that he's trying to trap? And so Nikki said, or Nate. Nate would never do anything. Victoria says, Nate is trustworthy. Nikki rolls her eyes and look at Nicholas. Nicholas looking at her, and they're kind of like, oh, Lord. And Victoria's just looking at them both, because they're like, Nate ain't above board. Nate will take the highest bidder, period. That is Nate. And that's what Nate would do. So now we have, let's see. No, that's still the wrong one. Victor. Where is my Victor? I don't have there it is, right there. I just forgot it was at the top. Victor's talking to Nate, and Victor is telling Nate that he feels his children are trying to undermine him, and Nate, oh, he sings Victoria's praises. He goes, now Adam, on the other hand, I can't speak for. That's what Nate says, right? And so Victor says, well, you know, and this conversation has to be strictly confidential between me and you. Cannot leave this room. Of course, Victor, everything you tell me is in the strictest confidence, of course. There may be some merit to what my children are expecting or suspecting. And Nate says, what? He goes, I have been losing it a bit. I have. You know, there's some things that I have forgotten. You know, there's just some things I just couldn't hang on to, and you know, and it does, it worries me. But the thing is, it can't get out, because if it gets out, then you know the shareholders, somebody can make a power play, you know. So Nate was like, well, Victor, you cannot get a diagnosis or an evaluation until you see a professional. I can make all the arrangements. All of these professionals, these doctors, will be very, very discreet. Nothing will get out. And we could find out once and for all What, if anything, is going on with you? I would be happy to make these arrangements for you. And so Victor says, okay, mm, okay. But like I said, this is strictly confidential. You can't even tell Victoria, okay? There'll be consequences. He goes, I understand. Strictly between us. So they talk for a bit more, and then Victor comes back. So again, I must reiterate, there will be heavy consequences for you if you divulge what I've told you. If this information does not stay in this room, that's it. And Nate's like, okay, I'm not going to say anything. And I'm thinking, you tell Victoria in a heartbeat. Because Victoria's going to tell you he's playing, he's playing us. And then Nate will end up saying what he's going to say. I honestly feel, everybody, that Victor kind of had an agreement with Mamie to get Nate out of Newman Enterprises so that he would come back to Chancellor Winters. But what Mamie does not understand is she don't have that kind of power. Not at all. She does not have that kind of power, nor will they let her. Good, nor will they let her. So before Nick found Victoria, he and Sharon were talking, and she was trying to, he told her he's faking it. She goes, oh my goodness. Classic Victor Newman. But she was trying to reassure Nick, that then he's fine, because Nick was going to make that incidental meeting between Sharon and Victor. Now he don't have to do that. And she goes, we've been through so much more than that. He goes, but yet, look, I'm devoting my time. I was spinning my wheels, worrying about my father, and nothing is wrong. I should have been focusing more on our company. She goes, we are right on track, Nick. We're hitting every one of our target goals. So don't worry about it. We are fine. And she reaches him, she's holding his hand. We have been through so much over the years together, and we're friends. We're going to continue to go through things together. And he goes, that's comforting, and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, are they going to kind of make Nick and Sharon get closer? Chance is going to feel a little insecure. So now Chance will get closer to Summer. I kind of see that happening. I sincerely see that happening, because if Chance would have walked in while Sharon is holding Nick's hand across the table, looking all into his eyes, Chance would have felt some sort of way about that. Some sort of way he would have felt. So now to the interesting part. We have where are they? Sally. On the 26th, they run into each other at the bar. Adam's all worried. She goes, what's wrong with you? He's worried. I think my father is truly, truly losing it, and it's all my fault. I pushed him to the brink of losing his health. Come on, Adam. He was doing all that. Woe is me. And it's Victor with the problem for Sally's benefit. This is all coming back on me because I was not sincere. I did have an ulterior motive, saying I wanted to start from the bottom. I was set out for revenge. And now my father's paying the price, because now it's forced him to come back to work, which was too much pressure. Adam. So Sally said, so wait a minute. You weren't sincere? You were lying to everybody, even me? And he goes, yeah. But all I want is my father to get better. All I want is to be able to work with him to find out what is going on. He needs help. I've called a doctor, and I'm going to talk to this doctor and to see what steps should I take. I vow to get him the help he needs. So she goes, well, a doctor is the first step, good step. So she leaves because the doctor's coming. Adam meets him in the jazz lounge, and they talk, and the man says, that he is aware of Victor Newman because he read his book, which he took with a grain of salt. And he says, but look, I can't give you like any kind of diagnosis. That can only be done with me studying your father's patient files and having a consultation with your father. He would have to agree to that. And Adam's like, oh, that's going to be difficult. And he goes, well, then without your father's complete consent, I can't even really talk to him. I can't. And so Adam's like, oh. He goes, the only thing I can do is give you some guidance based on the information, solely on the information you've given me. I can give you some tips and some pointers and some things to look out for where dementia is concerned, right? So Adam is sitting there after the doctor leaves and he's like bummed out because he's replaying in his mind how Nick is like, we're going to handle it. You stay out of it. They don't want him involved, and it's his father too. So Sally was up in her room having a bad dream about Nick and Adam. They were fighting each other over her. And Nick looks away and says, Sally, you're the only one that can stop it, can stop this. And then Adam says, Sally, tell Nick you love me. It's me you want. So she wakes up like, oh no. So she goes down to get a drink. And she sees Adam still down there. So she's turning and walking away. And he sees Sally. He goes, Sally. And she stops and she turns. She goes, you avoid me that much that when you saw I was here, you were going to turn and try to sneak away so I don't see you? She goes, no, I was going to come down here for a drink. But then when I got here, I realized I'm very tired and it's actually sleep that I need. So I'm going back upstairs to go to bed. And he goes, well, Sally, you're here. Let me buy you a drink. She says, no, Adam. I told you I need sleep. And so she goes, was that the doctor that you were going to talk to that I passed on the way down the stairs? And he said, yeah. And so she says, oh, how did it go when he started giving some minor stuff and blah, blah, blah. And the doctor says he can't, give a prognosis without officially examining my dad and yada, 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 yada. And so she goes, okay. And then she goes, well, okay, then sounds like, whatever she says. And she goes, but I got to go. So she turned, he goes, sat, and she just walks away. So you know what Adam's going to do, right? You know what he's going to do. He follows her. And so she's trying to find her key, which she's having a hard time finding because she's flustered. She finds it and she goes, Sally. She goes, Adam, I feel for you. I know you're going through a lot. And he goes, I just, I am, and I'm just so worried and blah, blah, blah. And so she says some more comforting words to him. And I think she puts her hands up on his face and she's like, it'll be, or whatever she says. And then they look at each other because they're getting ready to kiss. So he's looking in her eyes, she's looking in his eyes. And then they both lean in. See, before, remember, the thing was Adam kissed her. No, this time they both kissed each other. And they're outside the door. And so she now opens, with her key, because I think she already had her key thing in and maybe the door already buzzed. She opens the door and they come in and they're still kissing. And then Adam pulls back and he goes, should we stop? Because see, Sally in a heartbeat will tell Nick, Adam took advantage of me in a heartbeat, if it'll work in her favor. So she looked at him, she goes, I don't want to stop. And that's all he needed to hear. And that's all I needed to hear because see, girl, your eyes are wide. You can't blame this on nobody, right? You are broken up from Nick, but don't say what Adam did to you, pushing all your buttons. No. So she starts, opening, undressing him, and he's undressing her, and oh, they have a nice tender love scene. And I'm like, see, it's Adam she loves. It's always been Adam that she loves. Because to me, the love scenes with her and Nick just did not look tender, natural. They just looked like screwing sessions, for the nicer word. That was it. Workout sessions. This is going to mean something to her. So I'm like, okay, here we go. Are we going to go through this again? Because in the timeline of things, she last slept with Nick a week ago. Remember, Nick was out of town. And when he came back to town, they slept together immediately. Then they went to have that picnic in the park where she happens to just has to tell Nick about the kiss from Adam. She had to. And that's when everything went wrong. So it's only been about a week. That's it. So now she's sleeping with Adam. I don't want to see another who's the baby daddy between brothers again. And then this time it actually be Nick's. Come on, that they had better not be that lazy or write that story that way. Because see, Nick would be, how Adam, they kept him arm's length. You could be involved when we say you involved. Let them do that to Nick and see how he boasts and pouts and King Kong patting his chest. Whole different story if it's Nick's and she's with Adam. So anyway, everybody, that was it for the Friday daily recap of The Young and the Restless. I will be back next week with maybe everyday recaps. I'm trying to get back to it, or we'll get kind of a combined. Let's go to comment corner. We do have a few quick comments here. So comment corner. Roxy says, Christine, no tears after all this time. Put an onion in your hands and pretend to cry. That was so cute. I like that, Roxy. LaShanta says, Nikki was gonna tell, but Victor came in. I'm so over Vicky. Nikki, maybe you mean over both. Nikki, have a seat. She knows he's fine. I'm glad he went off on Nikki. Nate got nerve. None of your business. Nick's so full of hate. It's old. Sally, something, get him like that, or I don't know what that means. Good, you shouldn't have gone behind Adam. Victor told you. I can't stand Nick. If you hated him so much, why did you beg him to save Faith? He used him. Nick put it together, but he's not gonna tell Adam. I know, and Adam's the one that gave him the information. I don't see why he wants to be a part of that family. They're gonna plot against Adam. Phyllis was flirting hard. Yes, she was. Daniel's always judging Phyllis. Lily pointed it out to him, always judging her. I agree. Daniel is not feeling, Danny's got feelings. Chris, OMG, I'm over her. She was flirting too. Yes, she was, with them fake tears that could not fall. Denise said, hey, great recap. Love your impressions of Phyllis. So funny. So funny. And Audra is the best. And Belinda says, thanks for this great recap. Victor is a class chess player. I can't wait to see what his next move will be after Nicholas confronts him about the drawing that Adam gave him. I believe you're right. Victoria and Nate versus Adam is what Victor wants to happen. I feel Victor is so tired of Nikki, Victoria, and Nick, the way they treat Adam. And deep down, when it's all said and done, Victor really wants Adam to be the one that he can depend on. I'm really hoping Adam is the one, so I can see a sour face on Nikki and Bratty Victoria, a sour look on their face. LOL. All right, everybody, that is all of the comment corners. Thank you for today's recap. I'll be back next week.